Hello and welcome. Well, if you're planning to have a baby, are currently expecting or are with a newborn and are navigating the complexities of parenting in a pandemic, then this chat is for you. You know, the first moment that you discover that you're going to have a baby is one of the most significant and momentous experiences of anyone's life. Naturally, you experience overwhelming feelings of euphoria and elation at the wonder that is just about to unfold. Your body is creating another human being, an extension of you that you're responsible to nourish, protect, and be the foundation and source of strength for them for all your days. So no pressure, right? However, bringing new life into a world that is navigating its course through a pandemic comes with its own additional set of challenges. So if this is you, and you could do with a little bit of support along with some expert evidence, information, and advice, well, you're in the right place. As today we welcome our special guest, Belinda Joyce. Now, Belinda is a midwife, maternal and child health nurse with over 20 years experience. Now, Belinda is a mother of four and author of Survive and Enjoy Your Baby. Her passion is in providing safe, evidence-based advice and options to parents so they can find their own path to parenthood. Welcome back. How are you doing?
Well, thank you.
Of course, you know, discovering for anyone expecting that you're expecting a baby is, as I just said before, one of the most exhilarating experiences. Naturally comes with a sense of overwhelm and I guess just that weight of responsibility. But for the last 2 years, there's been that added realization of all of the additional complexities of parenting a newborn in a pandemic. And of course, what does all of that mean? For parents, I guess, who have felt those feelings, which undoubtedly, I think almost every parent would have in the last couple of years, it's really mindful for us just to empathize just those additional layers of complexity that pregnancy and parenting a newborn in a pandemic can and does actually bring. So for yourself, you know, as a mother of four children and in your role for over the last 20 years, as we just said, as a maternal and child health nurse, I'd love to know, Belinda, from your perspective, what have been your personal observations, I guess, on the experiences new parents have gone through during this pandemic, opposed to what, of course, parents were experiencing before COVID, if we can even remember back that far now.
Yes, it has been 2 years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things is that parents have often been probably pushed through the health system more quickly and with shorter face-to-face appointments and generally less support from friends, family, or the whole of society, because everyone's been trying to keep everybody safe, particularly pregnant women and young babies, being that sort of more vulnerable group as well. But it has meant that they've had everything reduced and compressed and just less support in general. So I think I've really felt for all the new parents out there, because it's a time where everyone feels fairly anxious and it's a new, becoming a parent for the first time, especially, it's a really new thing to navigate. Yeah. And then with the pandemic on top of that, and then of course the worry that they might get COVID-19 as well, themselves or their baby, and how they would then navigate that as well. Yeah. So I think they're common feelings to have as a new parent, but they've all been amplified.
So yeah, overall, as you said, reduced face-to-face appointments, and there's been such an increased dependency on technology. And thank goodness, to some degree, I guess this all happened during a point in history when we have had all of this technology to be able to help via telehealth or online consultations as well, and just reduced, I guess, education classes to some degree, I think, which we're going to speak about a little bit more. But I think more so, I think we just have to really applaud what they've been going through and just acknowledge that it is such a challenging time, and it has been such a challenging time for so many young families. But in your role and working with young families every day as well, as a maternal and child health nurse, what have been some of the most common concerns and questions that new parents have been asking you these last couple of years? I'd really love to pick your brain and hear about this.
Many of them especially early on, we're just worried about what the effect of getting COVID would be. So I think the same as everybody else. But then on top of that, do I want to take my newborn baby out to the supermarket? Do I want to know how much interaction with the general public do I want to have, or do I want my baby to have? And is it safe to go along to a group situation? And they've come and gone during the pandemic, on and off with lockdowns and all sorts of things too. So even if they were on offer, it's been a question of, well, do I want to put myself in that position? And then also a lot of questions. So maternal and child health nurses, we do a lot of referring back to GPs or referring on to other health services and other health professionals like lactation consultants. So we've had lots of mums that will say to us, but I didn't think I could see them at the moment. And I think my biggest piece of information to those parents is all the health professionals, they're still working, they're still there, but they are under strict rules depending on who funds them and what directives they're getting from their organisations. They're under strict rules to try and minimise face-to-face contact in many situations. So they're using lots of hybrid models of care. So things where they might use, some face-to-face and some telehealth. And the telehealth could be just on the phone or using something like Zoom or Health Direct and some of the other platforms that are out there. And it's amazing what we've been able to do with those platforms. Yeah.
How do you generally answer the question when a concerned mother-to-be or mother with a newborn asks a question? So what are the implications on the mother's body if she does contract COVID? How do you generally answer that and navigate an answer through that?
Well, that really changed as well. So early on, they didn't think that pregnant women were at more risk of COVID, but we now know that they are. And that's why we strongly encourage pregnant women to be immunised, for instance. And I think this is an area where you really should talk to your obstetrician, GP, midwives, whoever's, in the care of your pregnancy. They're the people to talk to here. But that has really changed. And we know that pregnant women are more vulnerable to COVID and we want to keep them safe. So I would always be suggesting to be more careful and remove yourself from those really big public events if you can.
Yes.
Obviously, it's your own choice, but it's putting you at more risk.
Yeah. Okay, well, there's lots to get through. And as you just said, so for families and for mums to be able to speak to the obstetrician or whoever their health professional is with any of those specific questions. But I just generally just wanted to know, of course, it's depending if they're vaccinated or not. And there is, I guess, lots of things that have changed since the start of the pandemic, but thank you for elaborating on that. Wanted to establish and to acknowledge that we had published your article titled Surviving a New Baby in the Pandemic. So for someone who hasn't read the article yet, can you please tell us what it's about and, of course, what inspired you to write it?
The parents out there navigating their new babies in the pandemic inspired me to write it. And really, it's to point out some of the supports that are available out there for new parents, because there's more out there than you might think.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling unsupported, I wanted to give you some options, I guess, to feel so much more supported and that it's normal to feel that way as well.
Awesome. So from your perspective, what do you think new parents are missing out on most during this pandemic?
I think the biggest thing is that support that you get with face-to-face interactions.
Yeah.
So with health professionals, like we've talked about, with then friends and family, and even just the wider community as well. Because if you're not able to go out and be mixing and seeing people face-to-face, it's really hard to feel that others understand how you're feeling. It's even hard for people to congratulate you and to celebrate the fact that you've just had this beautiful new baby. I've had so many mums say to me, I just can't show them off, and I want to show them off. I'm really proud of my new baby and they're so cute, and I want to introduce them to the whole, all of my family and social connections, but it's just too difficult, or at times it was unlawful to have any sorts of get-togethers and things.
Yeah.
I guess at the moment it's a bit easier to do that. However, we still have so many families who have, maybe their parents live overseas and they still haven't been able to get here. And that's, I guess, easier now, but it's still not easy. It's still a really difficult time to travel. And even interstate, we've only just opened up to Western Australia. So there's so many families who haven't had that chance for family support, somebody being able to make food for them, or we often have mothers or mothers-in-law who will move in with the new family, with the new parents and baby, and help out for a week or sometimes even a few months if they've come from overseas. And that's been a huge hole in that support for new families, which it's hard, really, really challenging. So I think it's really that having other people around for both the joy and the sharing those wins and the amazingness of having a new baby, but to help with the really difficult work of having a new baby.
Well, naturally, as you said, people have been avoiding public places with large numbers of people, but as we've been sort of moving more and more out of, I guess, trying to get life back to normal a little bit more, and new parents are wanting to show off their babies, as you were just saying, but I guess naturally there's still a sense of anxiety that mums are cautious about not wanting the newborn to be able to have any exposure to COVID at all. Just generally, like what's been the notion and I guess the question and the things that new parents are coming to you on that particular topic? Is it okay for them, and how often, and all of that sort of stuff? Should they sort of be out and about? I'd love to know.
I think everyone has a different tolerance level or a line of what they think safe and okay. And every day we take risks leaving the house, don't we? So walking onto the road is a risk. Crossing the road is a risk. There is risks out there, and we do have to have some quality of life as well. And I think everyone needs to balance up. If there's an event or a party or something that you want to go to, I think balancing that out with, well, how much do I want to go and how much risk am I happy to take? And I know at Christmas time, there were lots of families who were asking about vaccination statuses and all sorts of things. Well, we know that in Australia, the vaccination status of the majority of people, it's really high. So maybe we don't need to worry about that so much at the moment. Maybe it's more about knowing who's going and knowing that if they were sick, that they wouldn't come. And even just asking that explicitly, if you were to have any symptoms that day or the day before, please don't come. Or maybe we do a rat test first as well.
Yeah.
It really is tricky, and I think it will keep changing as well.
Naturally,
and also remembering that if the mother has been vaccinated, then the baby has got some immunity as well. And that's whether she was vaccinated during the pregnancy or while breastfeeding as well. So there's some I guess it's just adding some reassurance there as well.
Yeah, that's really good to know also. What you were mentioning before about the support interaction, it is really, really important, so crucial for new mums in group settings to be able to communicate with other mums facing all of the similar challenges that they're going through. But of course, that in particular has been difficult in social settings for the last few years. So, once again, leaning on all of your years of experience, what's been your personal observation of the key benefits of parent groups and, child health groups in a face-to-face setting? And on the flip side of that, also, what have been your observations on, the benefits on online appointments that have replaced those face-to-face settings? I just love to know both sides of the coin from your perspective, because naturally you've had, hands-on experience and extensive experience with both.
I think talking about mums especially, new mums really do, the majority really crave meeting and socializing with other new mums, because they've moved into a phase of life that's so different to anything else. And And by meeting other mums who have had a first baby as well, or just a baby, but particularly that first one, it's really lovely to meet other mums and to see that they're going through some of the same challenges, or that something's working for them that might not be for you. So you can see that it could turn around.
Yep.
Yes. Sharing ideas, sharing some of those milestones too, when your baby first smiles or they start rolling over, or, those kind of things are really great. And sharing the exhaustion and the work of it all and the emotional ups and downs can be, I guess, when you share something, it helps you feel less of a burden, I guess. It's not as much of a burden on you because you've shared that. And I think that's one of the things that parents really enjoy, both mums and dads, coming to parent groups. And we've used a lot of online technology for parent groups, and I've run some parent groups online as well. And they've been really successful. Not the same as face-to-face. Face-to-face is always going to be, I think, the best option. But at the moment, I think online has been fabulous for so many parents. And the mums that have come to my groups have actually said straight out, it's just so nice to see that there is other mums out there who are feeling the same way and who are having some of those same challenges, and who also are feeling isolated, and their mental health has been stretched as well. It makes you feel so much better.
Yeah, definitely. I think when mums are able to relate and just associate and just share their experiences in all aspects is beneficial on all levels, especially for just the mental health. They've been able to lean on one another, especially during what's been happening with COVID. But you also get to sort of really solidify some really strong lifelong friends as well. Yes. It's not just a short-term thing, but, parent groups that are run through city councils, of course, also offer the opportunity to make friends in close proximity from a geographic perspective. And as we know, that whole "it takes a village," well, it really does, to raise a child. So, not all, as you mentioned earlier, not all family live close by. In some instances, some, just depending where relatives are. So it is great from a parent group perspective that families can sort of support each other, which is really, really crucially important. But as you mentioned earlier too, we've become accustomed to telehealth appointments now, and many health professionals, as you mentioned, are offering that hybrid service, combining face-to-face with also telehealth type online consultations. So from your perspective, what health professionals would you suggest are still okay for a mum to use telehealth online appointments for, and which health professionals do you suggest that they should definitely see face-to-face where they can and are available to now?
Sure. I think that also comes down to the tolerance level and what you're needing to see them for. So if you've got a baby or yourselves perhaps that are quite unwell, you probably would like to stick to telehealth as much as possible. And if you can get a Zoom type, video call like this, where they can see each other, that can work really well. Even if, say, a baby has a rash or something like that, you can show it. It's not the same as proper face-to-face in the room, but it can work. I think any initial consultation with a new doctor, maternal child health nurse, lactation consultant, any health professional, that initial consultation is much better if it can be face-to-face, because you're also forming a relationship and seeing if you feel that person's right for you and that you'd like to keep seeing them. It's really important. But if it's just something that they don't really need to see or weigh the baby, they can just give you some advice about something, about any issue really, that they don't need to see the baby for, then telehealth, I think, is a fantastic option.
Totally agree.
It really works very well. And I have even seen lactation consultants who can give amazing advice via text messages. Once they know the client and they know the challenges that they're having, there's amazing work that has been going on over these last 2 years. And I think we've been learning as practitioners, along with our clients, how to use this technology and how we can make it work.
Yeah.
And also, I guess, when we can avoid, if we know that a family has someone with COVID currently, how we can keep our service going, provide some help and support without putting our staff at risk, and then getting back in there as soon as it's safe to do so, or putting on the PPE and going out and just keeping the visit to a very short time as well. We've gotten really good at doing this kind of thing day to day.
Yeah. And where it's maybe difficult for a mum to maybe get in a car and drive to see a health professional, and sleep deprivation is obviously a very big thing as well. Knowing what telehealth appointments are available are just a blessing, where you can do it from the comfort of your home, and just with the use of technology. So I think it's just a really important thing to understand which ones you should and non-negotiable to see face to face, and where for just convenience you can lean on the support of online appointments. They are a blessing in many situations. And of course, as we were just saying before, becoming a parent has its own nervous energy, always, because we want to be the best that we can be, but certainly the pandemic has significantly added additional anxiety and increased depression among new parents, as we've discussed. So how can parents look after their mental health from this aspect, and this, especially, I guess, with online appointments as well?
I think firstly, remembering that it is a really common time for people's mental health to be challenged anyway. When you bring a new baby into the home and you have that changing role from being, an individual to now a parent, and then the changing role between, or the changing relationship, between partners as well, going from
100%.
being lovers and partners to really being parents as well, and navigating how, who's going to do what, who wants to do different tasks in different ways can be really challenging.
Change in dynamic. Yep.
Yes, it's a huge adjustment for almost all new parents. And then adding into that the pandemic and the extra anxiety that you've got, what we've found is we do have lots more parents who are needing assistance with their mental health. And that's only to be expected, because of the extra pressure, the fact that they have had less support from health professionals and friends, family, and the community. We would expect that they would be more challenged. So we're just trying to really put in place more help and support, and to let those new families know that there is support out there. The government has put more and more funding into mental health care, which is fantastic. And it's just finding where the help is and where there's space for someone to see you and to provide that help. And the mental health support, it's a prime example of where telehealth has worked so well for many,
incredibly
new parents.
Yeah.
Because they often, it's great to see you face to face, but they don't have to do the work that they do. It can actually work really well over telehealth, even just over a telephone. And we're finding amazing results, and there are some online programs. There's lots of different supports out there.
Yeah.
And I think also just knowing, as a new parent, to accept any offer of help. So if anyone offers to help, whether that's a practitioner or a friend or family, say yes. They might be happy to drop off a meal. They might come and clean your house. They might offer to hold the baby while you have a shower, which is so helpful in those early weeks. Just to accept all offers of help and know that you don't need to be a super mum.
Yes to everything.
Yes, and super mum doesn't exist. If anyone that looks like a super mum doesn't feel like a super mum. They just look like it at that time.
Yeah. And look, if anything, with these telehealth appointments and online consultations, I am anticipating that families are probably having more help and more appointments because of this, the availability. And like for example, it may have been very difficult for them to jump in a car and actually every week see a health professional face to face, but where they can actually book in week on week, and have more support or more availability to more support. I'm anticipating that that's definitely been the case. And what I'm hearing you saying, Yeah, go.
Sorry, especially in regional and rural
Oh, yeah.
Victoria and
Yep.
Australia, that has made a massive difference. So there's so many parents who wouldn't have been able to get to those services that
Yep.
now have access to all sorts of services, including mental health, which is amazing.
Yeah. And self-care, as you were saying before, and as the article actually highlights also, is just so crucially important, and understanding what it actually means for you to fill your cup. So take sleep and naps as often as you can, and just do what gives you energy back. So if you know, for example, if it's your favorite hobby, or getting a massage, or, just getting outdoors and walking, around the block, or whatever it is, to get some fresh air and take a moment for yourself to charge yourself up. If you're having a cup of coffee, maybe sit in the sun and just have that moment to yourself. But, at the end of the day, what is it that fills your cup, and actually make that decision every day to do something for yourself, no matter how tired you are. It is so crucially important, and reach out to opportunities where they are, online or face-to-face, to be able to get that help. But you're actually doing a lot in this space now too, which I'd love to know about. You're starting a new program to support new mums. Can you tell me more about this and all about it? Yeah, I'm all ears.
Sure. I've started a new program just because I saw that there were so many mums out there who needed some more support. And so I've put in place, a 3-step kind of program, and it's called Survive and Enjoy Your Baby, the same name as my book. And I guess step 1 is an online resource vault full of information for that first 6 months of having a new baby. And I think that's the steepest learning curve, that first 6 months of learning just how to take care of them, what to do when is really important. And then some live weekly sessions that will give them access to me to answer lots of questions. So Q&A time to share information and the wins and the challenges that the mums are having, and then also to cover a topic of interest. So there's all those common challenges I think that new parents have around sleep and settling and feeding, and is my baby putting on enough weight, and how do I play with a newborn baby so that it really enhances their development, those kind of things. So all of those topics will be covered, but it'll be very much led by the parents or the new mums who come into the program, really, so that I'm getting all the topics and answering all the questions that they want answered. And I think every group has really specific needs. And then there's some that just everyone wants covered, like sleep and settling. It seems to be pretty common. And then I'm also putting into it a private Facebook group that will have access to me again for questions in between sessions, and also a place for the mums to talk to each other, share those wins. When their babies had their first smile, maybe letting everyone know, asking for support too, and advice on certain things like a brand of, nappies, what's working for you, and sharing that sort of information too is really helpful. And if anyone's interested in finding out more, if you go to belindajoyce.com, you can sign up for my free pack it's like a baby bundle full of checklists and printables and things like that. And then you'll be sure to get the information on the new program.
Awesome. And how long does the program run for then?
For 4 weeks.
It's 4 weeks. Awesome. So we'll have all of the links in the show notes, and it's also in the article for them to be able to find you and the program. And if they've got any questions or anything else like that, whereabouts can they find you? Otherwise, besides your website, you're available through social media as well?
I am. I've got a Facebook page and an Instagram page, so you can go there. I'm on LinkedIn, or just go to belindajoyce.com and shoot me an email. That will be fine.
Well, congratulations also on launching this program. And, for anyone watching and listening, as we said at the start, Belinda's got over 20 years experience in the industry, and is very well known and well respected thought leader in the industry overall. So they're in very, very good hands. So congratulations on that, and all the people you're going to help and support. It's incredible. Now, with all the chat that we've had today, how would you, summarize your key messages for everyone watching and listening?
There really is support out there. That's what I'd love all those new parents to know there is support out there. Please ask, let us know what you need, or let your friends and family know that you need more support. They're there, they want to help. That's the main thing, I think, and that it's normal to need support at this time. Not many parents breeze through becoming a new parent. It's much more common to be feeling overwhelmed and to be feeling like you don't really know what you're doing. And that's perfectly normal. You will get there.
Awesome. We'll have all of those notes and links for people to contact you in the show notes. Thank you so much for your time today, Belinda, and can't wait to catch up again in the future. Take care until then. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye.